Alright. Hey, what's up everyone? I feel like the audio should be working. It seems like we have no problems with the audio. Okay, so we can just get started. So today I'm gonna do a sort of casual stream. I'm streaming in right now with a kind of unusual looking setup and background. That's because I'm in a hotel in Thailand for a quick vacation, and I'm dropping in on this stream just to keep up the book club schedule. And today's sort of goal will be to just go go through my initial impressions and expectations for the Sylvia Plath book that we will begin reading. Zappin, I see you. Welcome to the stream. Good to see you back here. So yeah, nothing. There's not really much to fuss about here. We'll just be doing some pre-reading. Besides that, I'm going to also open up the conversation for future books to discuss. I have a couple books already in my list, and I think some sort of public way of generally just regularly talking about the next book to read would be good if we want to make this book club thing an actual thing and make it happen. So, if you are watching this kind of later, right now it's 2024, April, end of April. And if you're watching this much later, then maybe hopefully by that point I'll have some sort of like public website or something where you can see the books that we're working on. So um, if you if that doesn't currently exist for you right now, just drop a comment. Let me know what you want to read, and I'll always see your comments, even if I don't respond to it. I do see your comments. Okay, so let's go into. So the first thing I want to do is actually just share my video. So let me just quickly share this video to my Discord channel, and then put that out of the way. All right, ping YouTube. Book club. Sylvia Plath. All right. So The Bell Jar. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Now, here. No, there's nothing else to really say at this point, so I think we can just go right into it. Um, there is one thing that I probably should add to my screen, which I'm just sort of neglecting. Hopefully it works. Give me a second, because I'm using my laptop, and my laptop has a bunch of outdated modules, so let me see if it even works, but hopefully the YouTube chat will work. Let me try to add it over here. I just need to feed it the link. Okay, and is it working? I can't tell. It is working, nice. It's not quite pretty, but it's working. Should I? It's like awkwardly just hovering over the. Hang on. Well, I can get rid of this part, right? So, sure, I'll just leave it like that. And just awkward. Yeah, I don't have any. I feel like I should blend this somehow. Okay, I don't think it's gonna get any better without some actual, without some proper tweaking. So I'm not gonna waste too much time on that. I'll just move on to the pre-reading now. All right, so yeah, Sylvia Plath. Here we go. So, what is pre-reading? A successful pre-reading is not some sort of like assignment that I like write to my that I send to my teacher. A successful pre-reading is, do I get more excited to read the story? Okay? And in the real world, no one really actually intentionally does pre-reading the same way that I'm doing in the stream. Most good readers, they're always sort of like passively pre-reading a little bit throughout their throughout their daily lives, you know. Like they might hear, I totally misspelled Sylvia. Oh my god, it's kind of embarrassing. I just noticed it. All right, Sylvia. Sylvia with a Y. Had to fix that real quick. So people are normally pre-reading by kind of just hearing. Oh, I heard from my friend, for example. Oh, my friend Aaron, he's telling me that this book is good. Oh, my friend Donald, he's telling me this book is good. Oh, my friend Veronica, she's telling me this other book is good. And then maybe I had a conversation about it with them because I respect their opinions. And I'm like, oh, what's cool about that book? And then maybe, they give me like the breakdown. And then I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And then I like, while I'm chatting with them, I'm checking stuff up. I'm looking up the book on Google. Maybe that night I'll go kind of read like a quick sample, like I'll read like the first chapter or something like that. And all of that is really doing is just building up my excitement to read that one book, right? That's what pre-reading is in the world and in the lives of actual book readers. Like a real book reader doesn't need to sit down in front of a desk and actually pre-read intentionally, okay? But the idea comes from school, actually. The idea is, well, what if we just teach kids to kind of come up with their ideas about this book? But why is that a lie? And why is the pre-reading that I'm currently doing kind of a lie? It's because you don't have a choice. A successful pre-reading, what did I say earlier, leads to one outcome, and I've only really told you half of the story. I said that it leads to an increased excitement to read the book. But actually, there's another half to pre-reading. A successful pre-reading could actually do the exact opposite. Successful pre-reading, in 9 cases out of 10, actually leads you to not be excited to read a book. Okay? And it actually teaches you that you probably don't want to read the book. So you then, what happens after a successful pre-reading? You simply do not read the book. You might have had 10 people recommend this book to you, but you do the pre-reading and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to read this book. It sounds lame as fuck. And you don't read. 9 out of 10 times, that's what should happen. But in school, in this stream that I'm doing, this part is artificial because actually I'm going to read the book anyway. It doesn't matter. I'm going to read it. I've already committed to it. And in school, you're going to read it. You've already committed to it. But even though it's a little bit artificial like that, the whole point is I actually am a little bit excited about the bell jar anyway from what I've heard so far. I'm kind of just using this as an excuse to kind of quasi-teach like what a reader does to kind of learn about a book and to kind of set himself as in me, himself up to really genuinely engage with a story that he might not know a lot about. Okay, so this isn't exactly organic pre-reading. It's a little bit artificial, but hopefully I'll be able to show you how I find like my points of focus and how I sort of orient myself towards the book so that I can, when I do read the book starting next week, I will be more successful in genuinely engaging with it and deriving enjoyment from it. Because why do we read in the first place? We're reading because we want to enjoy the thing. We're not trying to read because we want to satisfy the whims of some authority figure. We're reading because it makes us better. It makes us feel better. It makes us be better. It makes us think better. It makes us better. So that's why we read. And that feeling part is really the number one thing, I think. Right? You want the reading to make you feel good. So yes, so this is a sort of acted out version of what I normally do um, for books. In a sort of compressed 1 hour time span. This is the acted out version of what I would normally do in some other situation. Okay, so how do I pre-read without spoil? Actually, that's a thing. A lot of times you kind of generally know what happens, but it's not usually just what happens that um, makes a story fun. It's the way it happens. Especially if you've read a lot of stories, that you kind of realize that all endings sort of converge on a few kind of like common patterns. So it's not really the ending per se that's that interesting. Now, that said, there are some stories that kind of rely more on like the twist, and those twists make the story more interesting. In those cases, most you just have to be careful with your sources of information. Like if you just do a random Google search, you might kind of get slapped with some spoilers. Goodreads is pretty good because usually the nerds on Goodreads are very nerdy, so they'll be very careful not to spoil things for you without telling you up front. So just again, in the real world, for genuine readers of books and lovers of reading, you know, we don't really get spoiled because we're just talking to friends, really, right? We're just talking to friends. We're reading the news. We're reading, like, we're hearing about this book that's like become really, really popular or whatever. It's best selling. We go into the bookstore and we kind of chat with we chat with the salesperson there who's super knowledgeable about all these different books. Or whatever, right? Or go or the library. Sometimes the librarian is dope, depending on your region, depending on your particular library. But like, you can actually get a lot of information from the real world. But if you're here on YouTube watching me, you suck at the real world. You are an online person. You don't know what grass is. So here I am, kind of doing the sort of digital version of it. Okay, so to avoid spoiling, just stick to safe sources like Goodreads if you really care. And if you don't really care that much, honestly, it's okay to be spoiled to some extent, because usually it's not the story that's the whole point. It's like the characters, what you think about the character, how you feel about the characters, and about the conflict and whatnot, right? So it's all that other stuff that's actually more important. All right, so let's get started. So honestly, the first thing I really generally look at is I look at Sylvia Plath, the Belgian. I just start with Wikipedia, because Wikipedia gets me a starting point of, especially for very well-known books, it gives me a starting point not just of like what it's about, okay, which is the synopsis, and here it'll tell me the spoiler. And by the way, you do usually skip the second half. Okay, I don't really read all that. Okay. But what I'll do is, with like these major books that many people have read, I kind of gravitate towards not this stuff, right? This stuff is like more like I will skim it, but this stuff feels kind of like Spark Notes for college students, right? So I kind of don't want to be too intellectual up front. I want to just sort of get what the human side of that story is, okay? Like the publication history and the reception and legacy and adaptations. So notice I'm actually not dealing with the text itself, like the content of the text. I'm actually focusing more on the text as an object in our world. Like, I didn't know that, the bell jar was hang on, let me actually find it. Wait, no, there's a. Okay, I felt like there was like some song that was referring to the bell jar, but I can't actually. It's not in this list, so. But like, sometimes there's like pop culture references where like your favorite band is like referring to the bell jar or whatever in like, track 3 out of their, popular album or whatever, right? And so that kind of stuff is what I initially start with, just like what kind of influence it had on the world of people in the 21st century, up until the 21st century. So now I'll just kind of do a little bit of that, and then I'll kind of after that I'll kind of probably go into some of the content here. I already sort of generally know the content, but I'll go into some of that, and then I'm gonna go into Goodreads. So where am I? So yeah, I'm gonna skip all this stuff. All right. I did read some of this previously because I can't stop my own pre-reading. So I have read some of this before. Starting over here, the only novel written by Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath is a poet, not a novelist, and it was published under a pseudonym, Victoria Lucas. Supposedly semi-autobiographical, with names changed. It's regarded as a romanoclef, which is like a actually, now that I think about it, I don't even remember what this means. Roman a clay. Roman a clay. Roman a clay. I didn't know that's how you pronounce it either. Okay, so this is novel with a key about real life events with a facade of fiction. Oh yeah, just totally forgot about this term. Okay, Roman a clay. Satire. Okay. Which could lead to an interesting conversation, but I'm going to skip that part. I don't want to be too intellectual up front. I want to focus more on the things that would genuinely interest me at first. Right? It's like, why would I even read the book in the first place? It's because, oh shit, it led to the establishment of some sort of foundation or whatever. I don't know. That's the kind of thing that makes me generally interested at first, because the protagonist. It's regarded as a romanoclay because the protagonist's descent into mental illness parallels Plath's experiences with depression or bipolar disorder. She died by suicide a month after it was published. The novel was published under her name for the first time in 1967, which is 4 years later, and was not published in the States until 71 in accordance with the wishes of her husband, an American poet, Ted Hughes, and also her mother. Translated into nearly a dozen languages. I bet it's more than that. I would be surprised if it's only a dozen languages, but because this is a 2011 source. But anyway, and it's about a 19-year-old undergraduate student from the suburbs of Boston who was awarded a internship at a magazine in New York City. Okay, I'm going to just skip this bit for now. I kind of generally know this context, but I'm going to skip all of this for now, and I'm going to go into publication history. She began writing the novel in 61. This is 3 years. Yeah, 2 years. Okay, she spent about 2 or 3 years on this after publishing The Colossus, which is her first collection of poetry. Okay, which, actually, now that I think about it, I don't really know a lot of Sylvia Plath poems, now that I think about it. She may have finished writing the novel in 61, but changes were made. Okay. Also, I know a little bit of background. She separated from Hughes, who is an American poet, moved to a smaller flat in London. She focused on the bell jar, and at top speed, very little revision, she wrote the entire thing. So that's always fun when they write it in basically one long sitting. Because then that means that the writer was like overcome with some sort of passion, using a series of flashbacks that reveal parts of her past, her relationship with Buddy Willard, and this Buddy Willard may or may not connect back to Ted Hughes, her husband. I'm guessing not. Let me look. So there's going to be a lot of like sex, virginity, and expectations of a woman. There's going to be a lot of expectations of housewife versus self-sufficient woman versus independence and stuff like that. Okay. This is, again, just basic feminist themes here, okay? We're a prisoner. What do you do with like an intellectually gifted woman? Do you just turn her into another wife? And, right? And what is another wife? What's the definition of that, right? So, we'll move, right? This should be, old hat. This should be at least familiar to you, okay? Like, if you have a brilliant friend, some of you guys are high schoolers, right? You have like a brilliant friend who is like, same age as you, 15, 16, 17. And just imagine that friend that you dearly love, like having like a full and enriching and flourishing life, until she dies. Like, what does that look like? And especially if you're a man or if you're a boy, like, have you thought about the implications of not being a guy? What we generally think of as a full and enriching and flourishing life for a boy versus for a girl, right? So this is probably one of the reasons why so many teenage girls gravitate towards this book, which maybe you didn't know, and I didn't actually state it until now. This is definitely a very popular book among teenage girls. This is so literary boy novel. Literary boy novel. Literary boy novel. I don't know. I don't know what that means really, but yes, it is very much a literary person's novel. So I'll continue here. She takes a scientific approach to sex and virginity. I actually didn't expect this little idea to come out. That's an interesting little sentence. I don't know what to do with it. She wants to get over with it. Okay, but this is the kind of theme that comes out actually in a lot of American movies, a lot of American 90s, 2000s movies. So this is I can't think of a specific movie, but this is like a recurring motif, and maybe the bell jar was kind of the beginning of that motif. She's suffocated by a bell jar, mental health, thick glass container. I feel like we're getting a little too intellectual. I'm losing my brain. I'm losing my energy, so I'm going to skip a little bit. She has an obvious mental break, suicide attempts. Okay. It also gives a treatment an account of the treatment of mental health in the 1950s. 1950s was famously not a very enlightened time when it comes to things like mental health. So we're going to get a little bit of a historical window into that time through this story. Parallels with her life. I mean, I read this previously. Actually, this is one of the first things I really read when I was pre-reading on my own. But this was a whole thing where actually a lot of people were really, a lot of real relationships were hurt and damaged by this novel when it was published. So that's something that happened at that time. Joan Greenberg said that she'd been interviewed in 1986 by one of the women who had worked on a magazine with Plath. And that woman who worked on that magazine with Plath said that Plath put so many details of our lives into the bell jar that we actually couldn't be friends again. And we even, some people even had to break up their marriage because of this book, which is, a little bit of spice for this book. Reception, warily positive. They were cautiously positive because, first of all, she killed herself almost immediately after the publication of the novel. I think it was 1 month afterwards. And as a result, it's hard to read that book without thinking about the fact that the person killed herself, right? So it becomes a lot of like if you think of like tabloid magazines, like it's like they're gonna like investigate what was wrong with Ted Hughes, what was wrong with this American poet guy, and there's gonna be a lot of like hubbub around the book that actually detracts from the focus and the attention on the actual book's narrative and artistic merits. It focuses a lot more on just the circumstance of the book. So that probably made it hard for that book to get a kind of neutral reading. In response to the criticism, people were trying to defend it, saying, hey, Plath is not just a writer, Plath is also an event, and we should not let the event of Plath kind of distract us from the writing of Plath. Sharp and uncanny. I mean, this is honestly so broad, but there is one thing here. Gave the mixed review, black comedy, but something kind of girlish that makes it feel amateurish. Okay, which this was back in the 1960s, so we'll see how I feel about that now. It's been referred to many times in popular media. It's a symbol for teenage angst. Sometimes there's a movie in 1979 Okay, there's a suicide pact that happens. Kirsten Dunst in 2016 was gonna make her directorial debut with Dakota Fanning, but it became a limited TV series from Showtime, and I guess it never really came out. All right, so that's the Wikipedia. Let me go into Goodreads real quick. Actually, the Bell Jar reactions and reviews. All right, let me see. Ooh, this is from. I'm in Thailand right now, so I'm getting this crazy date. I don't even know what that is. That's 2021. Oh, so this is 3 years ago. Ooh. This is. Oh no, this is archives. Archives. So this is 1971. This is a long time ago. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna skim this. I'm gonna focus less on the intellectual parts because there's gonna be a lot of intellectual parts. I'm gonna focus more on the sort of like liking, disliking parts. So I will do a quick skim. Okay. The kind of book Salinger's Franny character might have written if she spent 10 years in hell. Very much a story of the 50s, but written in the 60s, and now finally published in the 70s. Okay, interesting. So it's a kind of it's a picture of the 50s, which is kind of a new idea. It was mentioned earlier in the Wikipedia article, but that's something that I'm going to focus on more now. This is a like poorly formatted quotation of a poem because it's from the archives and they didn't update it for the website. Gonna keep moving. This is kind of. Here we go. Should we be grateful? Can we accept the price paid for her death? Is her dying really an art? So this is all kind of around the situation, the event of Sylvia Plath. I'm gonna skip this part. The country was in a certain way in the 1950s, and it was easy to lose your grip on sanity and also to recover it again. Insanity is the only sane reaction to the past 2 decades of the 50s and 60s. Oh, the 60s were an insane decade, by the way, for America. Very important to know that. The 60s were an insane decade, okay? I'm just going to let that. Very many things happened in the 60s. And I would say the 2020s with like the 2010s, 2020s with Black Lives Matter, with Trump, with the storming of the Capitol. People think it's really insane. I don't think it reaches the levels of insanity of the 60s by a long shot. So crazy period in American history. To Esther, madness is the descent of a stifling bell jar over her head. Wherever I sat, I would be sitting under the same glass bell jar, stewing in my sour air. It is. What was there about us and Belsies, so different from the girls playing bridge and gossiping and studying the college to which I would return? Okay. The world is a world bounded by the Cold War and sexual war. Okay, this is a little analytical. Defamiliarization ranges from tiny verbal witticisms to deeply troubling images. Barbizon. Okay, quotations. Penis envy. Okay. Yeah, we're too analytical right now. I want more emotions. I want more teenage girl reactions, honestly. I need more teenage girl reactions, genuine teenage girl reactions. I need some more enthusiasm. I need something less boring. Literary Hub. Lit Hub might be a little bit more unhinged. I'm going to just see if it is. From the time she was a young child, she wanted to write. 50 rejections. Star of the English department at Smith College. Yes, famously, Sylvia Plath is connected to Smith College. Women's liberal arts college in the Northeast. After graduating in 1957, she began publishing in the New Yorker, which is a very prestigious journal, and then she published The Colossus, and then she wrote on her novel The Bell Jar. 1961, she was living in London with her husband, the British poet Ted Hughes. I don't know why I kept thinking he was American. And their 1-year-old daughter. She was working in fits and starts on her novel about the early years of Cambridge, but never caught fire. Then she got a hospitalization for an appendectomy, which is when you get rid of the appendix, I'm guessing. Yep, it's the removal of the appendix. The Bell Jar came to Plath in a rush. She had the hospital stay unlocked memories of her experience as a psychiatric patient at McLean Hospital in Belmont, Massachusetts. She wrote fluently, without shame, about this painful period in her life. Okay, and then the pressures were intense. This is 1953. This is back in the hospital. In the hospital, she was a guest editor at Mademoiselle. Oh, so this is good. This is the kind of information I actually do want to know. This is kind of the real events that kind of inspired this story. So here we go. Zappin, everything you're saying about the history of that time period is correct. She spent the June contributing to features, fashion events, day-to-day production. Pressure was intense, and her experience left her exhausted and disillusioned working at Mademoiselle magazine in Manhattan. Am I just gonna be a woman's magazine writer? Am I gonna just be writing about writing captions for fashion pictures? Talking about the astronomical versatility of sweaters? Is this all I can attain to as a talented writer? Heat waves, food poisoning. Oh, also the attentions of predatory men, right? Because you're at these fashion events and there's going to be men. You're at a pretty prominent, I'm going to guess a fairly prominent magazine. At least you're invited to all these events as a writer for this magazine. You're going to be in New York. So you're going to get kind of like Trump types who famous, what was it? You grab him by the pussy? Is that what he said? Yeah. Like these women, you just have to grab them by the pussy. So you have men like that. I mean, Trump said that literally like recently. So think about it in the 50s. Jesus. What is the life that I can have, right? If you have all these like intellectual gifts. You're just writing for a woman's magazine, right? That doesn't sound very inspiring. She's dejected. She's also rejected from Frank O'Connor's writing class at Harvard Summer School, so she doesn't get her her desired path. Catapulted her into a full-blown depression, unable to read or sleep. She believes she was unable to create art. She saw a psychiatrist and then got electroshock therapy. Ugh. Badly administered shock treatment traumatized Plath. Depression worsened. Suicide with sleeping pills was attempted. Semi-conscious but alive 3 days later. She failed to kill herself. She said suicide would be better than going back to that hospital. Better to end it all. When she was still having some success and people were thinking of her fondly, she eventually recovered at McLean Hospital, the original hospital that she was at. This was the 1953. She went back to Smith in early 1954 as a college student who has just attempted suicide and failed and gotten better at McLean Hospital. And then this is in 1954. 7 years later, she's actually more successful now. Before she was just successful as like basically a college student. Now she's had multiple books published in famous journals, and all of these experiences come out. Nearly all of these experiences come out in The Bell Jar. Intense. And weirdly enough, I actually just didn't really read a lot of, or watch a lot of movies, or read a lot of books that kind of cover this sort of narrative arc. There's like Girl Interrupted from like the late 1900s. Girl Interrupted, 1999. Actually, what happens in Girl Interrupted, now that I think about it, this is like a thriller, which I feel like might come from The film follows a young woman who spends 18 months institutionalized in a psychiatric hospital following a suicide attempt. Doesn't say anything about Plath. No, it doesn't say anything about Beljar. No, it doesn't. At least not in the Wikipedia article. But, you know, I never actually watched this whole. I think I've watched half of this movie, or like snippets of this movie back in the day when you couldn't like, when not every movie was just always, you can just click play and watch it. You'd have to actually wait for it to come up on TV and then watch it. So from that era, I think I watched a little bit of this movie, but not the whole thing. Yeah, I guess it wasn't really super mixed. Had bad ratings actually by critics. Interesting. Anyway, yeah, I never really read a lot about like what female suicide attempts. So I think now that I think about it, that's a whole door I should open. The similarities between Plath and Esther were so strong that the London publisher warned her about libel issues. As it turned out, they were correct. Jane Anderson argued for and sued for libel, which is when you publicly defame somebody. Actually, I forget the difference between. It's a written defamation. Written defamation. That's libel. Yeah, a lot to do with mental health and a lot to do with. Yeah, so there's 1950s society. What to do with the potentials of like what to do with the potential of like female intellectual talents, and yes, and mental health. Sylvia Plath is not Esther Greenwood, so this is going to get into more of an argument. So I'm going to maybe skip this bit. Oh, actually, no, I'm not going to skip this bit. This is actually a satire, according to this. According to who's this author right now? According to Heather Clark, this is actually a satire of A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. Okay, which is a very well-regarded work by James Joyce, and she loved Joyce, D.H. Lawrence, Virginia Woolf. She loved the modernist writers, and we're going to see some resonance there. It is a protest, Cold War history, medical expose, which is the part that's also interesting. We're kind of telling the truth about the mental institutions of the 1950s. It's also a Bildungsroman and a recovery narrative and quest. Okay, so this is actually probably, out of everything I've done so far in this pre-reading, this is probably the most useful sentence I've had so far. Too taboo, too shameful to explore in a novel of her own. By 1960s, though, she felt a little bit more distant from her personal foolishness, and so she was more confident about sharing that story. Breakdown, recovery. It's also a critique of the psychiatric system, and I'm just gonna move on. Give us a smile. Okay, I'm gonna move on. Beljar is okay. Hang on, what's happening here? Although Esther is a top student, brilliant writer, she worries that her future will be the future of a waitress or a typist, but I could not stand being a waitress or a typist. Nearly every option available. Okay, this is what I was kind of talking about earlier. I'm going to move on from this, though, because I want to stay away from the intellectual bits. Honestly, I just want teenage girl reactions at this point. Best known, yes. I'm going to now go into Goodreads, and I'm going to primarily focus on teenage. Yeah, actually, YouTube could be a good thing. Goodreads. But I'm going to start with Goodreads because it's going to be giving me more of a what do you call it? A measured reaction, and then you know what? I probably will go into TikTok or YouTube after this. Give me a second to just log in. I'm gonna hide this real quick, just because I don't want my login details to accidentally show up. All right, so I'm gonna sign in, and hey, Dominic, welcome to the your. Oh, nice, cool. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna sign in and then I'm gonna continue with Goodreads. All right. Why is this taking so long? All right, there we go. And let's go to the bell jar. Oh, what the? Jesus. Dominic. Thank you very, 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 very much. I appreciate the support. And it's actually kind of wild that you guys are wanting to support me. That's actually fucking wild. It's unbelievable to me that you guys want to support me, and I thank you, Dominic, and I thank your uncle, and I think that you got your gift from the uncle and decided to give that to me. Thank you very, very much. Um, so, and yeah, hey, if you want to read the bell jar, you are welcome to join us in this. The bell jar chronicles the crack up of Esther Greenwood, masterfully draws the reader into her breakdown with an intensity. Okay, cool. So that's finally something I'm hearing about the actual quality of the book. If we read this thing, we're gonna get into hopefully an intense psychological space where we feel kind of involved in that breakdown and in the insanity. Um, yo, Dominic, I respect you for just like showing your respect, and I appreciate that very, very much. The deep penetration into the dark and harrowing corners of the psyche, an American classic, and we already got all these bits out of the way. Thank you very much, guys. Actually, my friends. Actually, I think that might be a little weird for me to go into what my friends have written about it. So I'll just go into the popular reviews here. There are many who have read The Bell Jar, absolutely loved it. I'm one of them. Caught a little off guard when I read a few versions comparing it to The Catcher in the Rye, stating how it's the female version of it. I assure you, it's a book all on its own, should not be compared. It seemed pretentious. Her descriptions were crisp and precise. She's a poet, but actually, after 2 pages, it became less about the language. It allowed me to visualize the characters. The character of Esther is descending into madness. The timeline doesn't bother you because we're just going crazy together. The book really spoke to me. Experiences with depression, suicide, as a woman with views on sex, the confusion that girls face 30 years ago was written. It was amazing. A little brainy. I still want more feelings here. Okay, I want more feelings. Kind of too distant. I did not know that if you're mentally ill, you're allowed to... This person is a very prominent reviewer, actually. I've seen her reviews in a lot of places, so we'll see what happens here. I actually think it might be the case that you have a lot of like intellectual counter reaction to The Bell Jar because it's so popular that the intellectual thing is to push back against it. We'll see. I do get why this is a classic. It's beautifully written. Beautiful paragraph on a fig, I guess. It's ahead of its time. Compelling story. Oh, this is assigned reading for teenage girls? I'm actually surprised. I liked it when I was 18. Fresh and relatable. But now it feels gaudy and self-indulgent. Racist and homophobic, genuinely disturbing because it was written during the civil rights movement. Okay, interesting. Okay, but sure. I don't dislike I want to know about the social connections, but I also really also want the emotional connection that she. I actually was curious about this part. Um, I want that because I kind of like this is the kind of thing we always talk about these days, and it's like I don't really want to like. It's like the second layer. I don't want to go start with the second layer right now. Uh, Anyway, blames everyone else for the mental illness and grand gestures of depression. She's pretty cynical about this one, so I'm gonna move on. I want to get something more. I want something less brainy, actually. Um, Everyone, all these girls, all these women rather, go into this book feeling like they shouldn't like this book. Actually, that's kind of an interesting meta narrative about this. So we'll kind of drop back into this, but I want to get the sort of the initial reaction. You know what I mean? Yeah, and we have this whole thing about. So I'm actually expecting a bit of shock and horror with regard to the way that she gets treated in the hospital, and I think that would be a good. And I think everyone should go into. That's at least one angle for this book. Go and learn about how inhumane institutions can be. I think at least that's one thing we can take away from this book. Okay, learn about the inhumanity of man when they get to develop institutions and how these institutions can be dehumanizing. I think that's something that viscerally, I think when we go through the story, there will be probably a couple episodes where it's actually just harrowing. It's actually painful to see what happens to the character because of these institutions. I think that will be a big part of the experience of this book. Okay, but I want more. Where's somebody from Goodreads? Give me some feelings here. Yeah, and also, I mean, yeah. That's also a whole debate, right? What can you expect from people from the 60s? Um, I won't get into that too much because, again, for me, that's like the second layer. I don't want to get into that just now. Applied descriptions, poetic prose, unemotional. So she's kind of okay. Did not make me cry. Ooh, this is the fake paragraph. Should I read it? Should I read it right now? Maybe I will read it right now. It's such a famous paragraph, apparently. I saw my life branching out before me like the green fig tree in the story, from the tip of every branch like a fat purple fig. A wonderful future beckoned, it winked. One fig was a husband, a home, children. Another fig was famous poet. Another fig was professor. Another fig was E.G., the amazing editor. Another fig was Europe and Africa, South America. Another fig was Constantine and Socrates and Attila and other lovers with queer names and offbeat professions. And so she's actually just imagining all the potential futures for herself. I saw myself sitting in the crotch of this fig tree, great word, starving to death because I could not choose, which is a very modern problem. And actually a lot of boys will feel this feeling as well. I wanted every one of them, but choosing one meant losing all the rest. And I sat there unable to decide. The figs began to wrinkle and go black, and one by one, they plopped to the ground at my feet. Amazing image. Amazing image. Amazing image. Racist descriptions of things, which is a bummer. How lucky we are to live in 2020. A much chiller reaction to that. But now I'm kind of interested what happens with the racist descriptions. There once was a girl from the Bay State who tried to read Finnegan's Wake. It made her so ill she took loads of pills. James Joyce has that knack to frustrate. It's not quite, doesn't quite roll off the tongue. But basically, it's a joke that James Joyce killed Sylvia Plath. Got it. It's kind of funny. Kind of wish it was a little. I kind of wish it was a little funnier. I will move on. This is indulgent. Okay, so this is a repeated commentary. It is self-indulgent. So will I go into this story feeling like, icky, it's just a girl being girly and kind of self-absorbed in her girly, I don't know, whiny, self-centered, woe is me, shriek, but with beautiful words, right? So is this self-indulgent? And is it not artistic? I'm gonna guess I'm probably not gonna be on Taylor's side. Okay, this is too extreme, but that is a potential ledge, and this book could fall off that ledge, right? So we'll that's something to keep in mind, I think, if you want to get into this. This is, by the way, how spoilers look on Goodreads. How dare I criticize Sylvia Plath? The viciousness of her comments about Jewish and black people. Didn't agree. Okay, so this racism criticism is coming out multiple times. I'm gonna actually just move on from that one because I'll just let myself roll with it when it comes. Yeah, not a lot of emotions. So I you know what? I'm gonna move to YouTube soon. This is there's like obviously 56,000 reviews, so I'm gonna not read all of them, but I want to get to a more. I'm still not getting what I want. I have two things to focus on right now. Okay, I have the sort of inhumanity. I want to feel that feeling of just tragedy and rage and fury and helplessness that happens when the institution just sucks. Okay, and we're gonna do a little time travel there. We're gonna do a little bit more. We're gonna learn some history there. Okay, and experience a world. An inhumane world there. Okay, so that's one. Another thing is, I'm kind of curious, is this just sort of an insufferable, annoying, self-absorbed, whiny crybaby, woe is me, look at me, I'm gonna write it in pretty words, just look at me and validate my sufferings, kind of piece of crap. Is that what it is? So I'm kind of I'm gonna engage with that when I read this in the next month. I do have a positive review, so let me read this. To the person in the bell jar, blank and stopped as a dead baby, the world itself is a bad dream. Weaving the electrocutions in with the mental breakdown of her heroine, about Esther, in sense of inadequacy, the immersive quality of the writing, you become wrapped up in that world. So that is actually, this is the closest, if it's finally coming from a guy, which is not what a man, a full-on man, which is not what I was expecting. Actually, I was expecting some teenager to write something excited, but yeah, this is the first time I'm actually getting kind of like a from Goodreads like that, like, yes, it feels good to be wrapped up in this narrative, in a compelling narrative. Let's go to YouTube, bell jar review reaction. Okay. All right. I wonder if, no, too academic sounding. Reacts and reviews. This is weird, actually. I feel a little awkward. I don't really know. I don't have an eye for what I should. She a drug. I mean, yeah, that is sick. She's also ill. So I don't really know. Oh, here we go. Overexcited, incomprehensible reaction. Let's just go for it. All right. I'm gonna do captions, and I'm gonna go to 1.8 speed. Okay, 1.8.
Hi channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Sylvia Plath's The Bell Jar.
I'm gonna go to 2.2.
Now, I've only read Sylvia Plath's poetry before, and I was in school a couple of years ago. And I remember one girl in my English lit class recommended The Bell Jar, so I went out and bought it. And I always wanted.
Okay, background.
I know, like,
background.
because I struggled mental illness myself in the last.
Background.
Like, it may trigger some people, this book.
Okay, background.
Until you've recovered. This book's still very relatable in that.
Okay, background.
On compliment her enough. I love how she writes, and I've always loved her poetry since I was 16.
Okay,
It starts off
writing.
with this character Esther, who is essentially Sylvia.
Okay,
What is life
summary,
like?
synopsis.
And she
Synopsis.
me, and that's so rare in a book.
Okay, moving on.
It just makes me right out there. This book, I just can't praise it enough. Although I myself have never struggled with thoughts of suicide, it suddenly makes sense to me how someone could have those thoughts and how it can completely control your life. And that's quite
Okay.
scary. Finishing this book, I didn't cry. I wish I could cry, but I was just left so emotionally stunned. I didn't know how to react. I was just sat in bed with my boyfriend as I closed the book, and I was like, I don't know how to react because it's just so hard hitting. And I'm that speech.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought you were gonna be more.
Understand how these thought processes.
Okay, I mean that's kind of a summary of basically the same gist that I'm getting from people. I want to meet someone whose life was changed. I want somebody whose life was changed. Can we? That, and I guess I'm realizing that I failed to just say this, but books change lives. Okay, and not every book I read on my streams will change my life because I'm who I am. I'm at the stage of my life where I am. But I want to see people's lives be changed. I don't want thoughts. I want like a sort of unabashed, unembarrassed. My life has changed. I want to see that. What the hell? What is this? Devastating classic. Can somebody's life be changed?
Hey, it's Sylvia, and it's snowing right now, so I thought I'd show you that first. It's the cat's first snow. Okay, but I can't film there.
No trigger warnings. Sector 1.
Okay, it's chapter 1. It was a queer, sultry summer. The summer they electrocuted the Rosenbergs, and I didn't know what I was doing in New York. I'm stupid about executions. The idea of being electrocuted makes me sick.
Oh, this is
And
her
the thought of
actually reading it.
dog
Oh,
alive
that's
headlines
kind of
staring at me
cool.
on every street corner, and the fussy peanuts smelling mouth of every subway. It had nothing to do with me, but I couldn't help wondering what it would be like being burned alive all along.
Okay,
the earth.
2.5.
It must be the worst thing in the world. New York was bad enough. By 9 in the morning, the fake country wet freshness that somehow seeped in overnight evaporated like the tail end of a sweet dream. Mirage gray at the bottom of the granite canyons, the hot streets wavered in the sun, the car tops sizzled and glittered, and the dry cindery dust blew into my eyes and down my
Oh,
throat.
actually,
I
what's
kept hearing
this?
about the Rosenbergs over the radio at the office, so I couldn't get them up.
Oh, it's a whole ass passage.
The sound of the woman was making her saying that she's not feeling any pain. She said because she's taking a drug to dull pain, but as she's still feeling it. I thought it sounded just like the sort of drug that man would invent. Here's a woman in terrible pain, obviously feeling every bit there. She would run like that, and she would go straight home and start another day because the drug would make her forget how bad the pain had been. When all the time, in some secret part of her, that long blind doorless windowless corridor of pain was waiting to open up and shut her again.
Okay, this is reading, and now I'm slowing down. See what happens.
72.
I thought that was powerful.
I felt like
Oh, she's just sharing passages and her reactions. Okay, that's not exactly. Lives changed. Lives changed. Where's the change lives? Where's change lives? All right, TikTok time. But I don't think I'm gonna get it. I don't think I'm gonna get what I want. Okay, I want people crying. That's what I want to know. I want to know who has been so touched that they can't stop talking about this book. Okay, so TikTok. What am I looking for? Sylvia Plath. No, just the bell jar. I feel like the word review. Actually, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try a different one for YouTube. YouTube bell jar. The bell jar changed life. Okay. I'm gonna try the bell jar right now. Favorite books. Why should you read? I'd sell my soul to read again for the first time. This one's kind of interesting, actually. I like the over the topness, but this is a whole list. But we'll see. Okay, we'll see what he says. Hey, where'd it go? Oh, it's not included. It's just YouTube's stupid search algorithm. Okay. I'm gonna skip this all then because I don't really see the life change. I just see kind of teacherly, kind of reviewerly kind of writings. I want more like just excited and raw. And if I can't find it, then you know what? Then I'll just be the one that has to deliver. Dude, I don't. Can I continue? Okay, guest. All right. Let's look at thumbnails to see if there's anything interesting here. Why am I getting so much? Oh, because I'm in Thailand. Bell jar reaction. Give it to me. Super slow. Okay. My initial reaction as soon as I finished it. Give it to me. Wait, why is it? My internet should not be this slow. Dang. Let me just check on my computer right now. What's going on? My CPU is fine. My internet should be fine. Yeah, the guy with the reality institution, the guy one look. Oh, yeah, the one that. Yeah, I kind of wanted, but that one seemed like it would be more intellectual for me, so I skipped that one for that reason. Yeah, I'm just sort of like, I don't know what's going on. It's just not loading. So I might have to just call it a day here, if it doesn't load. Oh, what? It suddenly works. Okay, I'm gonna go 1.5 speed.
Depressing, I guess you could say. Like, it was very depressing, and I can't lie, like, I got thrown off so much because of the slurs. Obviously, it was mostly the slurs that threw me off, or else I would have given it a 5 out of 5 because it does really portray, like, the 1950s.
Okay, slurs bothered her.
During those times and stuff like that. Privileged woman, whatever. You know what I mean? But it was just the slurs that threw me off, or else I would have given it a 5 out of 5. But yeah, no, she didn't have to put the slurs in the book like they did. Babe, Sylvia, she killed herself, so.
Eventually, I gave 5 out of 5, and then people were just commenting on her appearance. Dude. Okay, I think I'm actually frustrated at this point, so I'm gonna stop here because I'm looking at this and people are all annoyed about the racism, but bros, racist. Everyone just talks about how racist it is, which is like, guys, I'm like as a millennial, I'm kind of sorry. I think, like, bro, guys, we have this world, like, millennials are the ones that really made it a thing. My generation really made it a thing to talk about everything with regard to, like, social issues, and there's a lot of positive that came out of that, but I think art died. We killed art, and it's gonna take a while for art to come back to life, and I think right now we have comedians who are trying to bring some freedom of speech back, but everything's like now a social, economic, intellectual argument exercise, and it's extremely frustrating. So I don't want to. Yeah, I don't, guys. At least this one doesn't mention racism. This one doesn't mention racism. Hey, this one at least sounds kind of interesting. But this is just a reaction and faces. Me taking a year to finish the. Maybe this is a thing. Okay, and these are just, I mean, I don't know, like little girls being cute, I guess. So I'm gonna move on. I'm done with TikTok. I'm done with YouTube. I'm done with Goodreads. I got nothing. I got nothing in the sense of I didn't get what I really wanted, which is I wanted somebody to be ridiculously excited about this book, and I failed. I failed to get that. So, which makes me really rethink this whole pre-reading thing, and I wonder if it's better for me to actually create a document where I collect quotations on books that make me want to read that book, and these quotations could include quotations from my friend, my friends who are recommending the book. Like there are some books that get recommended that might be useful that might be appropriate for YouTube. Actually, the books that I'm mostly getting recommended by friends are pretty like off the beaten path, so they're not really things I would do for YouTube, really, because no one's gonna read them with me. Not on YouTube, at least not for the foreseeable future. So I'm gonna, yeah. This makes me really think about the pre-reading stream. But for now, I still got the basics down. Okay, like I know when I read this book, I'm gonna be focusing on how engaged or disengaged I feel from the character. Because people had two extremely opposite reactions. Some people said self-absorbed. Some people said, wow, amazed how I am wrapped up in this world, right? So that's the initial, that's I think that's the primary tension. Am I in or am I not in? Okay. And then the second thing is the sort of time travel, like what's it really like to be in that world? And that is going to interestingly, that involves not just the psychiatric institutions and the kind of treatment of probably well-meaning people, right? But like how that actually plays out. It also includes the racism that TikTok is responding to and Goodreads is responding to. So there's going to be a whole meta narrative. I have to engage with that as I'm reading this thing, and for me, I actually try not to engage too much with that. I want to show the emotional, the human connection, as sympathetic as possible, the human connection to the main character herself. But things get racist, and what am I going to do? How I'm going to react to that? I have to react to that too. So we'll see what happens when I actually get reading. Those are the main axes those are the main things I could sort of dig up from all this pre-reading. So how excited am I now compared to before? I am pretty excited. Actually, in a weird, perverse way, both of these frames are exciting to me, but for kind of different reasons, okay? The first is I actually bet that I can get into the story. I bet that I will not find this character self-absorbed. I feel like the people who are judging this character as self-absorbed are probably not giving her a fair shot, okay? And I'm pretty sure, and maybe this is just my bias, but I feel like I could probably get more into the story than some of those people could. Okay, so that's kind of a little game I'm going to play with myself, right? And then the second thing is the the historical context. I feel like it actually would be pretty obvious how devastating it is for a mental institution to be terrible. Okay, but you know what's not obvious? Like, I don't know how I'm gonna react to the racist passages, but I think it'll be interesting, and it, in a perverse way, because it's controversial, it kind of makes me more excited, because I might say things I might regret, but like I'm something real is gonna happen there. Okay, so I wanna see what happens. Okay, you're encouraging me with a pre-reading idea. And thank you. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I would get rid of it altogether. I think it's good to set the themes down. But I am wondering whether I should just make a edited video or whether I should do it live like this. But then again, I'm really bad at editing. And it just makes me tired to think about editing a video for pre-reading when I could just quickly publish a live stream with my skill set. So I'm thinking about it. Maybe I'll make a document, because the one thing that is a little disappointing is that for a live stream, I have to really look for the best parts, but sometimes you don't really get amazing reactions. So that's the only thing that I think is a little bit lame about the existing format. But I'm just doing what I can with the time that I have. So this is maybe the best I can give. But yeah, I mean, this wasn't a total failure by a long shot. I still got what I wanted. It's just not the really enthusiastic. Like Hamlet both Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet, when I did the pre-reading, there was a lot more to get excited about. So just compared to those, I just feel less excited, and that's why there's a bit of a like a down tone here. But I am pretty sure I can generate the excitement on my own through the reading itself. So that's it for me. I'm gonna go. Oh, there is one other thing I should probably do, which let me see, Amazon.com/the bell jar. I want the Kindle version, which is only 99 cents apparently, and I'm hoping, this is the see all formats and editions. Novel. Wait, what is this version versus this version? This is Wordsworth, published on 2024 by a sort of non-reputable. Wait, what is Wordsworth Publishing House? Huh? I actually don't even know about it. Oh, okay, no. It is reputable. Okay. And Harper is the very expensive version. Okay. I mean, might as well buy this. But let me just see if buying books is so much more annoying than it used to be. I'd rather just go to the bookstore and just buy a paper copy. Yeah, and none of this is even reviewing the Kindle version, so I'll just buy this cheap version, and if it sucks for whatever reason, then I'll buy the other version. Okay, so I should have this coming to my email now, and then I'm gonna go to read.amazon.com, and I want my book. There we go. We got my book. And I don't know if Dominic, if you're still here, but thank you. You just helped finance this book. Okay, it was a $1 book. Wordsworth Publishing House in New Delhi. So definitely not the same Wordsworth I was thinking of. Hilarious. You fuckers. You fuckers. All right, well, so this is essentially a. Yes. Hang on. God, this is so annoying. Because I like you never know if there's like mistakes. Gutenberg. What's bell jar? It took me a while to figure out what I was saying. Project Gutenberg bell jar. Canadian public domain, but might be under copyright in some countries. Okay, I see. Yeah. So literally, what these guys did, the guys who just earned $1 from me, these Indian republishers, is they probably I wonder if is this legal? Is this legal? I guess probably there is probably some weird legal thing. Wordsworth Publishing 2023@gmail.com. They just what they did is they just copied. I'm assuming what they did is they just Command A, Command C, Command V, and then they just published it into Kindle ebook format, which is it's work. So sure, I'll pay them $1, I guess, as long as there's no mistakes, right? So annoying. But anyway, that is the state of 2024. Just purchasing books. All right, that's it. So what's the main thing I want to check? Oh, I wanted to check the vocab level and the difficulty level of this book. So I don't think it's going to be super hard, actually. I think that's why high schoolers read this, right? Because it's not super hard. Being burned alive along your nerves, that's not super hard. Mirage Gray at the bottom, Granite Canyons. Okay, not super hard. So that's already page 3. So how many do I think I can read? Okay, I feel like that was just chapter 1. So then if I read no, that's not it. Where's the thing? There's 20 chapters. If I read 7 chapters, so let's go to chapter 8. If I go to chapter 8, that's page 88. So that's 87 pages. 87 pages. How long would that take me? Yeah, no, I'm gonna be a little less. Let's just do 5 chapters at a time. 5 chapters. 5 chapters. Or it actually should be 6. Chapter 6, that's about 60 pages. Chapter 11, that's about another 60-ish pages. Chapter 16, that's another. Ooh, that just suddenly jumps, but anyway, yeah, that's like 70 pages, I guess. Yep. And then from here, there's about 50 more pages. Okay, yeah. So 1 through 5. So the way we're going to divide this is 5 chapters per week. 5 chapters per week. So I'll go ahead and add that. All right. So I'll go add that to my video description. In fact, I'll do it right now on stream because might as well, right? And now I'm just going to briefly open up. I'm not going to listen to myself. I'm going to briefly open up a discussion on other books to read. Guys, after the next 4 weeks, I am expecting to read either A Midsummer Night's Dream or Gone with the Wind, which is more racist and more controversial. So maybe I could go to Midsummer Night's Dream to stay away from the controversy for a while, and then go back to Gone with the Wind to go back into the controversy. I don't know. It's roughly the plan that's in my head. I feel like the controversy around the bell jar is going to be much smaller than the controversy around the Gone with the Wind. Gone with the Wind was a lot more controversial. So that's kind of like my, I don't know, gut feeling at the moment. But you tell me if you guys have ideas on what else I could be reading. Puck? Is that some slang that I don't know? Number of chapters in the bell jar. Should be 20, yeah? Cool. Yep, so this is my plan so far. Gone with the controversy. Yeah. Yeah, A Midsummer Night's Dream. I kind of want to do a comedy because I haven't actually ever read a full Shakespeare comedy yet. So just a straight up comedy would be good. Puck is the fairy. Okay, yeah. I didn't even know that. So I feel like Shakespeare is like the entire canon of Shakespeare needs to be covered, because I actually just have not read all of Shakespeare, which is like kind of silly when you think about it. So I should do it. Just read Shakespeare. That just puts Midsummer Night's Dream just very high up on the ranking. But Gone with the Wind, I feel like Gone with the Wind. I mean, I'm open to other suggestions. I've been hearing Crime and Punishment multiple times, but I'm just not feeling it, honestly. I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. So somebody else, I mean, if somebody recommends a Tolstoy, I might be more open-ended, but Dostoevsky, I don't really feel like it. All right, so that's it for book club. If there's any if there's any other ideas you guys have for the book club, like in terms of like how to do it, any feedback for me, I'm open. Other ideas you got? I'm happy to not just discuss book club selections, but also like structuring, structuring the discussion more, or getting like adding events and stuff like that. So, guys, if you're just discovering my channel, and you might not know that I do a lot of SAT materials, SAT content, but I'm not just an SAT tutor. Actually, I'm just an English guy. So I intend to build out this book club idea for the long term, and I'm seeing myself doing this as long as I can. So if you want to join me in the book club, we'll be reading a couple chapters every week. For this week, this month, it'll be The Bell Jar. Okay, come join me. All right, AP Tech, welcome to the stream. Good to see you. I'm gonna go now. Very tired, and I have to start packing for my trip back to Vietnam. So, hey, thanks everyone for watching, and thanks for the love and the support from Dominic again. And I'll see you guys in the next stream. Until then, keep on learning, keep on growing. Peace.